Welcome everybody, my name is Mr. Llama and today I'm bringing you yet another making improvement stick video. And I actually had a little blunder where I went through the replay and had the wrong overlay screen on, so I didn't capture anything, and I need to get my overlay switcher back and make that thing work because that thing is beautiful. So we are going to be following Rancor, the blue Zerg here, and this is Diamond Wednesdays. Congratulations, happy Diamond Wednesday, hooray, hooray. And it's going to be a little bit different than the plat and the gold and the bronze and the silver games, as I'm still going to give the large goals, the big goals that I want each player to have. So it'll still be the same in that regard. However, it's going to be a little bit different in the fact that I'm going to note a lot more of the small things, because at this level small things start to matter more, I want to say. Players start to become better at their macro, you start to see less slips, things like that, and it just leads to it leads to the small things being the things that add up to win you the game, as opposed to playing against somebody who, you know, can't macro for anything, and that's like, you know, you don't have to do anything major except, hey, if you have a ton of SCVs, if you have 50 SCVs by 10 minutes, you should be able to win that game, because you can just blast out with a lot more minerals and a lot more units than he can. So you can just A-move straight at his base, don't need micro, don't need any of that stuff really too much. So these are of course going to be a little different, and looks like, okay, scouting, I don't mind anything about that really too much. Spawning pool, I would throw down a 15 pool instead of a 14 pool. Tends to be a little bit more economical. And do you get this hatch up? No, you do not. He comes back and gets the block. So mean old Protoss getting the block. But you do scout out here, you scout the forge, and that's all you need to scout. I really like that your scouting is very concise, and then you bring it back to try and get this hatch here. But Mr. Mean Protoss, new creation, is blocking that as well, and he's going to pylon block you twice. So that is going to be painful, but generally they'll cancel this pylon as they don't want to spend too much blocking you, and they just kind of want to delay for as long as they can. So I like that you've just gone straight for your queen, getting your lings out, and now you can take this hatch here right when you have the 300 minerals at 21. So there's everything, you know, pretty straight up, pretty normal so far. Things will come down, pick this off, then you can throw up yet another hatch and you'll just be cooking. You'll be right on the move right there, so good job with the inject, and here we're going to go into yet another hatch. So, I mean, everything so far has been spot on, and we'll see what you do with these lings right here, and with Mr. Overlord, of course. And it looks like you missed the tower a little bit, that's fine. And we have yet another queen in production, so you can start doing queen transfers, yada yada yada. So, what are we going to do with these lings? We're going to scout up at our opponent's base, make sure he has a cannon up, because if he doesn't, woohoo, we can just run some lings in and get great scouting information. And he does, and unfortunately we lose Mr. Ling right there. Now, what I want to focus on, you're not getting supply blocked really right here, 26, but that's fine, you got the Overlord right there, so good job with that. I'd recommend maybe the Overlord at 22 instead of 23, so that way you actually don't get any bit supply blocked. But personal preference, dropping the creep, gonna spread that between your bases, that's good. Now something that needs to be done is we need scouting from these lings. These lings are not scouting. It's fine having a ling on the tower, and you're trying to watch for a third there, but look at what we are missing. We're missing a probe right over here, right? And this could be detrimental. If he goes for some sort of fast 4 gate off of this, so he goes for the expand, of course, and then goes for 3 more gates, blah, 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 and then drops a pylon up over here, you are going to have absolutely no clue whatsoever. He could simply drop a pylon right there if he wanted to, warp in some units, some zealots, send them right at your base, and then you are in a lot of trouble, my friend. And you see he doesn't have the gases either yet, so, I mean, that could be an option, that could be something that he does, but instead he does open Robo. But we're going to pretend you don't see that because, hey, you didn't see that. So, now you do see a gas going down, and what I would do immediately now is move this Overlord back. We want to save this Overlord because, hey, we don't want to get supply blocked around this time. As you can see, we're already working on thin margins. We're 44 out of 46 right here. And your queen should be able to take care of this. And you're going to move another one up there. And you should inject here fairly soon. So everything so far is pretty good. A little bit too much energy building up on these queens already, kind of. And now this one's going to build up some as he waits to get back to his base. This guy still has a lot of energy building up. So right now we're kind of at a point, and also a low supply block, but that's okay, you're building up beyond that. But now it's not okay because this overlord right here is getting attacked, and you're losing drones for free from the zealot. That was a simple pool that you could have made. He could have easily killed off a third drone if you want to, and he's already paid for his zealot. He's killed off 2 drones right here. If we do look, yes, 2 drones. He's killed off 2 drones for free right there, completely unnecessarily, and that simply had to do with not grabbing that and not just pulling it away. And also you're going to give up a free overlord, which is going to supply block you as you're already supply blocked. Now you drop back under supply, and this overlord right here only puts you back up to being supply blocked. Not a situation you want to be in. Also, I really quickly want to go back to the 8-minute mark because that is a big mark. And you're at 50 supply out of 62. Goal number 1 for you is going to be get consistently over 65 supply at 8 minutes. That is simply going to be your goal, and you are at 41 drones. I want you to have 55 drones, roughly, at least. So 55 drones, a couple, 3 or 4 queens, and a couple lings, and that should put you 65. And you want to be able to hit that consistently. You want that to be a measure. So goal number 1, right there, I want you to take it into practice games and versus very easy computers and just macro. Straight up macro, build your 15 pool, take your hatch at 21 because we want to pretend like he pylon blocks you or whatever, and then take another hatch at like 21 like you did this game, and macro, macro, macro. Also look at how many larvae we have saved up not being built. We have the money and the supply, and there we just spend them, but not where we want to be. So you want to be up and over that, and then as soon as you hit that, you get that 65, 70 supply that you will have right there, you want to have room to grow, and you have not given yourself any room to grow right there. And so now we're approaching 9 minutes, and we're still at 60 supply, and it's just not a comfortable position. You want to be at 9 minutes, 80 supply, something around there, more than that, 85, 90 supply, That's where you really want to start growing, because that's where all of that pre-game, all that 0 to 8 minute build-up that you did, getting out those drones, which by the way should be more than 50, should be 60 to 65 right now. You kind of started roaches a little early, not in terms of time-wise, but in terms of drone-wise, you started them a little early. You want to have more econ right there to deal with everything. And you should also be dropping a macro hatch down right about now, just to help get stuff out for when his push hits. So you could even drop that a tiny bit earlier if you wanted to, but you'll see a lot of players drop that macro hatch because it's very useful for when they do hit, and yada yada yada. So now you're droning again right there, up to 62, but you droned after that wave of drones, or after that wave of roaches. I would say switch that order up right there, get the drones and then the roaches. And now you see, oh, he's pushing out. So where is he pushing? He's pushing over there. Okay, maybe I could send my entire army of roaches right now over there. And what would we do? We would catch him kind of off guard. We'd be able to maybe pick off a few units because he doesn't have too much, or at least force him to drop some force fields back here. So you could push in and then back out really quick and go force field. And then you could push in and back off. And you could keep going back and back and back and back, not really going for an engagement, just trying to make him burn some force fields right there. And you're going for the around, I would say, cool, you can pick off pylons, try and distract and kill off these guys, force him to once again pull his army back, but he is not going for that. Instead, you're sitting back here, and I will discuss that in a tiny bit here. But your engagement is going to be goal number 3, and your queen energy is building up all over the place. So what do we have? Getting caught in just rough corners. I like that you're backing up at the right times, not really engaging into those force fields too much, which is the appropriate response, of course, but you still need to be doing yourself a little bit more of a favor right now, I would definitely say, and I will discuss that, of course, as I said, right after this battle here. So now kind of not the best engagement point. Lost a few too many roaches trying to engage right there with those force fields. And also, you may lose your third here, but you can still expand off of this. If you save your drones as you look at your worker count, you're still ahead right there. So you weren't quite dead yet. I think that's a little pre-early leave, but to each his own. What I want to discuss, though, is the engagement of that was awful. And reason being, number one, you could have pushed out, as I said before, you saw him walking over here. You could have pushed out, killed the probe, killed the pylon, right? Then you could push over towards his army, and as I was saying, make him waste force fields. These are the killers. These force fields are killers. If he doesn't have these, this army is absolutely nothing compared to your giant roach ball that you have right there. But by letting him save all those up and not putting any pressure on him, that's what really hurts you. So that's number one. Number two, engage right here if you're going to go for an engagement. Have some roaches up here, have some roaches down here, and then make the engagement when you have this large choke. Instead, you force yourself back into this tiny choke, and he only needs 3 or 4 force fields to block you off instead of like 7. See, so now you could have engaged from a bigger surround, and now with 3 force fields, he basically has your army screwed, right? So there's no room whatsoever, nowhere for you to really go right here and do anything, and this is going to force you to fall back. And he kind of overweights force fields, but you know what? At this point, you've already put yourself in a pretty bad situation because now you don't have the room to engage. So once again, he can just keep trapping you in this terrible, terrible spot. And 4 force fields, 3 force fields, 4 force fields. That is killing you. Also, what I want you to note is when you are engaging, you need to be doing some sort of move into his army, right? So look right here. All these roaches right here stopped. You have 6 roaches that have completely stopped at the front to attack these units. This is attacking, this is attacking, all these things are attacking, right? Because they have longer range. All of these roaches sitting in the back. You have 24, 25 roaches. 19 of your roaches cannot attack. He only has 1 force field really blocking you. You're blocking yourself with these 6 roaches right here in the front. Move command these roaches straight to his army so that they push up right here. They're literally right up against his army, and then attack. And you can even, when you're right there, you could focus on that immortal, that immortal, that immortal, that immortal, kill him off really quickly, and then his army becomes a lot weaker, a lot easier to deal with. But move up next to it. You block it right there, and that is so hurtful. And once again, down here, look at this. And I'm going to back up 10 seconds, and I'm going to go show you that again. I couldn't find the pause button. So there's a block right there, right? And down at the bottom, now we're blocking right here. We have 4 roaches that are blocking 8 more roaches in the back. If you are just move commanding these roaches up next to his army, you're going to be in such a greater position, and that is something that you really need to practice, is getting up next to a Protoss army when you want to fight it, not standing and attacking. If you just press A move as a Zerg player against Protoss, you will lose a lot of these battles that you could win, because all the roaches at the front will stop, and then you'll have a giant mass of roaches in the back running around like little retards because they don't have the range to shoot. And they can't, so they just do this, and I can't attack. So this is definitely a battle that you could have won with the army that you had. I think you could have been, of course, in a better situation if you droned a lot more earlier. If you work on that 65 drone or 65 supply plus at the 8-minute mark, you'll be in a lot better position to deal with these pushes here. But definitely, there's going to be a few goals right there for you to work on. So number 1, let's go over it. Number 1, 65 plus. At the 8-minute mark. Number 2 is going to be Queen Injects, and number 3 is going to be your army, making them waste force fields outside and then pushing up next to it for better engagements. And then a minor goal will just be scouting with the Lings to kill off the probe, because that can just be deadly. So that's going to be it for part 1, and we will move on into part 2 here.